Hit it, boys.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Thursday to you from here at HTF Bets. My name is Robert Husby, and I'm joined along with the host of Almost Game Day, Sean Green. Sean, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Second week in a row, I'm on bets. Obviously, Nick is out this week. I got a lot of comments on my hair last week, so I fixed it for all of the people that are watching this week. So you're welcome to HTF Bets fans.
Yeah. I guess if you're looking at Sean's hair instead of Sean's picks, that says a lot about Sean, doesn't it? I'm sorry.
I guess
I'm sorry,
so.
Sean.
I
Had
guess
to.
so.
But we're also joined with Abby, who watches golf, I definitely think, a lot more than we do. So she's our golf expert here at HTF Bets. Abby, how are you ahead of Masters Thursday here?
I'm great, Robert. Thank you so much for having me back. I mean, the Masters is one of my favorite tournaments of the year. There's just something so special about it. So I'm just thankful to be here. I'm excited and I'm ready to talk about all these great players.
Yep, absolutely. The Masters is a little bit different this year. It's obviously about like 6 months later than it usually is. It's in the fall this time at Augusta National, so you're gonna get those beautiful fall colors in Georgia. So it's gonna be really interesting. There's no crowd allowed, so it kind of takes away from the Masters energy, but it's still gonna be a great tournament, I think. So with that being said, I think we're gonna get into our picks for favorites here, and there's quite a few favorites. There is one favorite. Bryson DeChambeau is the favorite coming into the weekend. And I'm interested to see who y'all's favorite is coming into the weekend. Sean, who is your favorite coming into this weekend of the Masters?
You know, I hate to just pick the favorite, but yeah, I'm going Bryson DeChambeau. Like, he's been the best golfer consistently this season. Every single tournament, he's played outstanding. He hasn't really had a bad tournament this whole season. So I'm going with the favorite here. It's really, with the Masters, it's the one weekend where a lot of fans of sports, football takes over Sundays, but when it's the Masters, now with football, I think a lot of people are going to be watching this Masters tournament. There's a bunch of good golfers in the field this weekend. Dustin Johnson's another one, that you could see possibly being in that 1-2 spot. Jon Rahm hits that crazy, water shot, so his confidence is through the roof. But right now, I'd probably have to go DeChambeau just based off of what he's done this season.
Yeah, that's a fair pick, I think, and I think most experts would agree with you there. Abby, are you seeing anybody different? Are you in line with Sean there? You see somebody else being a favorite here coming into Augusta National?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of eyes on the American players like Bryson DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Justin Thomas. I could go on. A lot of people have their eyes on these American players, but all the guys that I just mentioned, they've already won a major championship. So I think for me, I'm looking at somebody who is outside of the United States who hasn't won a major championship yet, and that is Jon Rahm. I don't think there's any better person to talk about than an international player who has not won a major championship yet, because he's only played in the Masters 3 times, but in the last 2 times that he did play, he finished 4th and 9th. So he's already been in the top 10 2 out of the 3 times he's played, which is super impressive. And also, I think he gets a lot of credit for his driver, how far he hits it off the tee, but his short game is absolutely exceptional. I mean, when he needs to make those clutch putts, that's what he does. We saw it, when he played in the playoff against Dustin Johnson at the BMW, when he made, I think it was a 66-foot putt, and he just drained it to win. So when it comes down to those moments where, he really needs to step up, that's what he does. And plus, like Sean said, he made those 2 aces in his practice rounds, which I know he kind of skidded off the water on the last one, but it was still really impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Rahm has been, one of the favorites for any of the majors this year just because of the golf he's playing. Like you said, it's him, Dustin Johnson, Bryson, you're talking about some of the best golfers in the world. For my favorite, I'm going to go with another guy that's playing some of his best golf right now, and that's Xander Schauffele. Arguably right now, probably the second or third best golfer in the PGA, playing great, lives for these types of moments, lives for the majors. At the tour, he finished second. At the U.S. Open, I believe he finished 5th. So he's finishing top 5 in some of these last few majors. So, I think his game is just built for these type of big moments, these type of big events. And I think, when it comes to someone like Xander Schauffele, he's always around the top 5, the top 10, and he's going to give it his all this week as we go into arguably the biggest major of the season. So, Abby, I'm going to go right back to you. is there a sleeper pick here? Someone that maybe is not quite a favorite, but also, not somebody that's just a far, far reach. Is there somebody here that you're picking as your sleeper heading into the weekend?
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking at another international player, and I'm also looking at somebody who has a really good track record here, somebody who has come close to winning several times, and that's Louis Oosthuizen. He's number 19 in the world. I mean, so he's already proven himself to be super talented. I think he's known for in 2012 when he lost in that playoff against Bubba Watson, and then Bubba was able to win his first major championship, and he eventually did it again in 2014. But a lot of people didn't really give credit to Louis Oosthuizen for fighting so hard in that playoff. And so I think, looking back at that, it just shows that he can fight till the end, and I think that he is a sleeper. I mean, he hasn't really, been in the leaderboard in a lot of recent tournaments, but he did finish third at the U.S. Open, which I think is super impressive. I believe he shot 2 rounds in the 60s when most people were shooting in the low 70s. So that was super impressive. And also, like I mentioned, how having a good short game is important. He's ranked 31st in strokes gained putting, which is super important because at the Masters, we all know the greens are super fast. So it's going to be very important to have a good short game here.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, the US Open, it's very impressive how anybody, can finish in top of the leaderboard there just because it shreds golfers apart. So, we might see something different this weekend. And, the short game definitely is going to come into play, as you said. Sean, who's your sleeper coming into this weekend?
When we talk about this guy, we usually don't think sleeper, but I'm going to say Rory McIlroy. Listen, at the Masters, there's no question. He's had an up and down type of scale when he plays at Augusta. His highest finish is 4th in 2015. He has also had kind of an up and down season this season. There's some weeks he looks like himself, and there's other weeks that, he finishes, not making the cut or bottom of the leaderboard. So I think that this is a sleeper. I think he wants to complete, he wins the PGA championships. He won the US Open. He won the Open. I think he wants to finish out with a green jacket. So that would probably be my sleeper this weekend, but it's not, I'm not as confident as DeChambeau just based off of how he's performed the last couple Masters in McIlroy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would love to see that. I'd love to see him get the green jacket. I'm a big fan of Rory McIlroy, probably my favorite golfer. So love to see that. For my sleeper pick, my guy also is not a super sleeper. I think he's pretty favorite up there, but it's Tony Finau. Tony is, playing some great golf as well. Since the last 2 or 3 seasons, he's arguably finished in some of the majors. I think in like the he's finished in the top 10, 8 of the last 10 majors he's played in, which is pretty impressive. I mean, that's consistency. So I don't necessarily think he's going to be good enough this weekend to win it, but I think he's definitely likely to finish in the top 10, perhaps even top 5. I think what makes him a sleeper, though, honestly, is just that he's coming off of coronavirus. I don't really know what he's going to be like this weekend. He came off of coronavirus in early October. I think he's played in 1 tournament since then. Hasn't played in a major since then. So it's a lot on your body coming into one of these major championships. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he comes in prepared to the weekend. But, what he's shown in the Masters and what he's shown in the other majors as well is that he's consistent and that he can creep into the top 10 and put forward a really nice performance on any given weekend like this. So he's a nice pick. I think you can, maybe put some money on to get in the top 10, probably put on some money even to creep into the top 5. Just, it is unpredictable what happens here. But absolutely, I think these are some great pick by you guys. I think that's a safe pick. And with that being said, that's gonna do it for this first segment here. Glad to get some picks. Always happy to talk golf. We haven't talked golf since the U.S. Open, so it's fun to get it back on here just because golf isn't exactly the most exciting sport for some people, but it's definitely a good one to bet on. It's definitely a good one to talk about. So thank you both for joining me for this segment. When we come back, we're going to be joined along with our regular co-host, Okelo Pena, as we talk fantasy football. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to HTF Bets. I'm going to be taking over this segment because now we have Okelo Pena, our usual host on the show, joining us. I'm going to skip Okelo 0-9. We don't need to get to him right now. Robert, talk about this. I said Robert. Robert, talk about your last week in fantasy and how you did. How did you do this week?
Well, I got the win over Kayla. I did good. Christian McCaffrey coming back definitely helped a lot. He got me way over 30 points, so that definitely helped. Most of my team did pretty well. They all did pretty well. So I'm happy with what I got out of it. Happy to be back in the win column. So I'm trying to even my record this week as I play Okelo, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully he'll go 0-10 because I would really hate to be the first win of his fantasy season.
Yeah, that wouldn't be pleasant. That would not be a fun time. And now we shift gears to the 0-9 Okelo Pena fantasy team. Okelo, you played me. How was it this week? Obviously you lost, but did you see any bright spots on your team? Was there any, good things to take away?
I just have a question to ask you, Sean. You happy with yourself? Are you happy coming in here disrespecting me each and every week, talking about my team 0-9 in this fantasy league?
I love
no,
you.
You don't. If you loved me, you would stop the disrespect. But you know what? I already conceded.
0-9.
I conceded you. I conceded you. Like, thank God your Patriots. Like, for the first time, I could kiss a Patriots fan because they saved me from the level of disgust that was the fact of the Jets winning a game before me. But I digress. But I already conceded defeat with you because I already knew. But it's okay because I've decided to turn my loss into a gain. And part of that is for Movember. And if I continue to lose in fantasy, until I get my first win, I will not shave my beard. And this goes to a good cause for the month of Movember. So I'm planning to raise some money in between. Hopefully, if that boosts some morale in terms of me winning my first fantasy game. So I'm asking all the HTF fanatics and Okeloholics, to chip in and, hopefully help me, guide me to victory. Hopefully now with Christian McCaffrey out, I might have a chance against Robert. So, I'm only doing this now just for a good cause. So if I lose, I keep my beard until more money is raised for men's health.
See, I can't hate on the guy now, Robert.
Yeah, you can't.
He knew what he was doing when he came in here. Now I can't hate on him. That's awesome. Okay, well, that just my whole segment just flipped on its head. Now I have to rethink everything. So yeah, this Okelo's team played actually pretty decent this week. I'll give the man some credit. I had a couple of players that didn't perform as well for me. Mark Andrews did not play up to par. Hopkins, again, Christian Kirk was on my bench, and it's now starting to look like I might flip those two. Kirk looks like he has more of a connection with Kyler Murray.
I need a trade, Sean. Trade me.
Trade me. Not gonna
trade me so I can maybe shave off this damn thing.
That actually is. We have a bunch of Okeloholics that are big fans of Okelo at HTF Bets, and a bunch of Okeloholics do not like me very much. So just for that reason,
this is a dream come true.
It is a dream come true. So I do hope Okelo loses again because that would be great for him to shave that beard and let it go to or have that whatever.
No, it's until I win my first game. I'm shaving.
If you win, no, just do it if you lose. That makes it.
No, because then the longer my beard gets, the more money that I raise for men's health for Movember.
Okay. I hope you don't beat Robert, but maybe the week after Robert.
Well, thank you, Sean.
All right. Well, that'll be really cool. Now I want Okelo to win a game, even though I want him to lose every single game. But let's go to our starts and sits per usual. Robert, I'll start with you. Who do you see starting this week, either for your team or for people around the fantasy world?
Well, actually, we'll be starting for my team this week because the Chiefs have a bye this week. So it will be Travis Kelce sitting, and I picked up on waivers because I had no tight end, backup tight end, Eric Ebron. Steelers are playing the Bengals this week. The Bengals allow, I believe officially now, they allow the most fantasy points to tight ends this season. So that's not good. It's a great matchup for Ebron. Ebron, his last 2 or 3 games has been really good. He's getting touchdowns. Ben Roethlisberger is trusting him in the red zone, and it's working out. He's scoring touchdowns. He's getting points, and he's doing a lot better than a lot of people expected. So right now he is a good tight end fantasy pick right now, and especially with, a guy like Kelce, a starter, getting a bye this week. A really good matchup for the Steelers at tight end. Yeah, I'm going all in on Eric Ebron this week.
It's a pretty good pick. Okelo, your starts and sits. Listen, I have to, go on you a little bit. They go up and down every week. Last week you had an okay start with Marvin Jones, but you sat Teddy Bridgewater, who scored up 28 points. So this week, give your fanatics something to cheer about with your picks. Who is
It's the
going to
man
be
that
your
I
start
want
this
from you, the man that we're raving about. It's Christian Kirk. The connection with Kyler Murray has been phenomenal. The Bills' secondary is atrocious. They give up the 8th most fantasy points to wide receivers, and it's clear-cut other than DeAndre Hopkins. Christian Kirk is the clear-cut number 2. At the beginning of the season, he had his struggles, but he's starting to catch fire, and you want this fire riding hot right into your fantasy playoffs. So if I'm looking for somebody with Sean, I still want Christian Kirk. I need a trade. I would love to have him start this week because against Buffalo, it's going to be a high-scoring game. Last week against Seattle was evident with DK Metcalf and more, and as well as Tyler Lockett. So Cardinals receivers, primarily Christian Kirk, I'm going with this week.
Somebody clip this because this might be the only time me and Okelo agree on something. I'm actually starting Christian Kirk over DeAndre Hopkins this week. So Okelo, I think, if you're a fantasy person, believe him. I think this is a smart move. But my start actually is another wide receiver, Jacoby Myers. I think you've seen over the past couple weeks, there's not many bright spots on the Patriots offense. He is the only bright spot. I think Cam throws to him almost every single time. He is the only wide receiver he throws to. It's honestly kind of scary because there are other receivers on the field, and he only throws to Jacoby Myers. So you're looking, especially against a Ravens team that isn't great against the pass, you probably are going to see, if we're looking at target-wise, I'd say a good 12 targets for this kid. And especially when he's not going to get you the touchdowns. Let's get some perfectly clear. When the Patriots get in that red zone, they are running the ball into the end zone with Cam or a running back. So don't expect touchdown production out of Jacoby Myers, but expect to get a bunch of catches and a good amount of yards. So my start would be Jacoby Myers.
Now this is where we kind of get a little question mark, Sean. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand where you're coming from this. This Ravens secondary, it goes up and down. But, I mean, if he's going to get matched up against Marcus Peters or Marlon Humphrey, I don't know too much how many yards they might get on him. That Ravens defense is still pretty tough. It'll be interesting to see how it goes again. But, I mean, I'm at least cautious. I mean, he's a low-end flex, in my opinion.
Well, Christian Kirk is a flex, in my opinion. So we will move on to Mr. Robert Husby. Robert, sit this week. Again, we're very close to the playoffs. We are inching towards the playoffs. You are probably going to have to start making some hard decisions, maybe some players that are big time that haven't been performing that you need to start sitting. So who is your sit for this week?
Yeah, I think it's a guy you mentioned earlier, Sean. I believe he's on your team since you mentioned him. It's Mark Andrews. At this point, he can't be a starter. In 5 of his last 7 games, I believe he has under 7 points a game. That's awful. He's just not getting the targets he usually does. He's not having quite the season he's had in years past. And now he has to face a New England team this weekend who New England allowed the second least amount of points to tight ends in fantasy. So one thing that New England's done really well this season is match up against tight ends and shut them down. I would expect that to continue. Lamar Jackson's not been great. I doubt he's going to be looking for Mark Andrews given what we've seen the last 7 games. So I would expect his woes to continue for the Ravens tight end. And I think at this point, can't put him in your flex, can't put him anywhere in your starting lineup. He's at best right now, I think, a bench option.
Thanks for that, Robert, since I don't have really any other tight end. So thank you for that one. Okelo, again, your sits been 50-50, but who are you sitting this week to get back on track?
The man who's playing the only unbeaten team in the NFL. The only man that I suggest, even though Big Ben may be out in this game, but you're facing the number 1 defense in the league, kid, Joe Burrow. I'm not playing him this week. I feel like any fantasy owner who has Joe Burrow, who's been feeling confident about him, this is one of the weeks where you pump the brakes, okay? You're facing one of the best teams in the AFC North rivalry. Welcome into it. You're going to get smacked. You got smacked against the Ravens, and I'm not expecting Joe Burrow to continue his progression as a quarterback. I think this is when he hits his rookie wall. And when you're going up against TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, You got Avery Williamson, Ryan Spillane, who's been filling in for Devin Bush well, along with Marcus Adams in our secondary. You ain't got a chance. So, Joe Burrow, you're sitting down this week, and I'm not expecting you to play well against the only kings of the AFC and your future Super Bowl champions.
You know, you love to do quarterbacks for your sit. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, well, that's the primary position in all of football.
Very true. My sit, even though it hurts me to do it, since I made a trade with Robert for him earlier in the year, thought he was going to be a huge piece for my team. In hindsight, it was because I got rid of Amari Cooper for this man. But
now you know how I feel with Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I know. So in hindsight, we both got the short end of the stick. I am sitting DeAndre Hopkins this week. That might, again, surprise a lot of people. He is, you know, in most people's opinion, if not the best receiver, a top 3 receiver in the league. But with this Cardinals offense, the wealth is spread. And it looks like Christian Kirk right now is getting that wealth from Kyler Murray. So I'm going to go with the hot hand. It might end up not working out for me in the long run here. Again, Okelo did say to put Christian Kirk in the starting lineup. So more than likely, DeAndre Hopkins will go off for 30 and he'll be on my bench. But I have to agree with Okelo just this once and start Christian Kirk. But you know, I have to put DeAndre Hopkins on the bench this week. All right, that is it for our fantasy football segment, as always. Up next, we are going into our bet of the week. Stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on HTF Bets for our final segment, which is our bet of the week. As Tom Cruise playing in Jerry Maguire once said, show me the money. It's time to put our money where our mouth is. It's time to bet the house. I know I've been on the roll the last couple weeks, especially cashing out big with Notre Dame beating Clemson. I'm feeling pretty high on cloud 9. You know how I'm feeling. And, well, even though Nick's not here, and I would love to chew him up because he's been doubting me the last 2 weeks, we have Sean. But we'll get to Sean in a minute because he says he has something very planned for us. So, Robert, I'm going to start off with you, man. What's our bet of the week this week? What are we cashing out with at the betting table in the casino?
Yeah, well, so for my bet of the week, it is a winless battle in Lincoln this weekend as Nebraska plays their first home game of the season. They're 0-2. They're facing an 0-3 Penn State team. Both of these teams have gotten off to an absolutely awful, awful start, especially Penn State. I expected them to lose against Ohio State, but yeah, they are not good. And I really don't know what to think about coming into this matchup, but I do know that Nebraska is getting 3 points from, as of right now, getting 3 points in the spread against Penn State. I think that spread will cover. And I also think Nebraska will get their first win of the season. I think Penn State's going to go 0-4. I'm sure people will disagree with me, but I don't see anything out of either of these two teams to show that one's a clear favorite over the other. They're both bad teams. You know, the Big Ten's gotten off to a pretty lackluster start for a lot of these teams. So I'm going to go Nebraska. I think being at home helps them. I believe they've won 7 out of the last 8 matchups with Penn State. So Nebraska, I think they last played 3 years ago. So Nebraska's, you know, has put historically has put up good matchups against Penn State. So being at home, given the matchup, I think they'll cover the spread, and I think they'll get the victory. They'll get their first win at home and their first win of the season.
Well placed. I mean, you know, you're taking Cornhuskers in their usual stadium. Granted, you know, at Lincoln, it's not going to be a sellout. But I understand where you're coming from. You know, it would be interesting to see if Alec Martinez can play well for Nebraska in this game. Obviously, Penn State has had a lot of question marks on their offense. So I see where you're coming from, Robert. So good choice for your bet. I'm not so certain, you know, about it, but I'll give it a pass. I'm going to go for my bet of the week since I've been red hot. And it was between either college football. I was planning to do something big, but looking at the spread between FAU and FIU, I know it's crazy. I'm going to take a Conference USA matchup between FIU, but I'm going to go to the NFL. I'm going to go Monday Night Football, and we got the Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. There's been a little bit of rebirth in Minnesota, and you're traveling to Chi-Town to play the Bears on Monday night. Now, granted, Kirk Cousins has not played the Bears great, and he's 0-9 in Monday Night Football. And I have lost faith in Kirk Cousins, and the Bears are projected at 2.5 to win. I'm going to go on my hot streak, and I'm going to take the Bears at plus 5.5. The reason I'm doing this is because it's Kirk Cousins on Monday Night Football. He has let me down, and I am not taking the bait. It seems like as the Vikings are looking like they're getting hot, they're not. I think this is a bounce-back game for the Bears. I project that this game will go at least around 40 points, but I'm going to take the Bears. They say it's going to be a tight matchup, but Chicago has blasted Minnesota in the last four, since Kirk Cousins has been there. I expect that trend to continue. So for my bet of the week, I'm going to pick the Bears to embarrass Kirk Cousins on Monday Night Football to drop to 0-10. Kirk, stop letting me down, and maybe I'll bring you back in my graces because I've had you for a while, but you ain't the answer, man. You ain't captain, my captain. You're just the second commander in cleaning up the bathrooms. So now I've got my pick out. So now, Sean, you've graced us with your presence here today. I can't harp on Nick because he went in hiding, but I'm interested to see what drunken stupor you're going to pick for your bets. So let's hear the craziness, Mr. Green. What are you betting on this week?
Listen, Nick is a legend on this show. Man knows how to pick games.
Not against Miami. Not against Miami.
I'm happy that I can, just be an inch as good as Nick. So I'm happy to be on for the second week in a row.
You lost the game, Nick.
I'm about to create some memes. I'm trying to spice up the show. When I'm here, I need to do something big. So I'm going to the NFL. And this might be a stupid pick, but just give me 2 seconds, and you'll find out. Oh, God. This is Johnny Jackson. Just please get ready. New England Patriots.
Oh, my God.
I'm going New England Patriots plus 7. Plus 7, New England Patriots. I know they sucked against the Jets. They're getting N'Keal Harry back. I didn't say they would win, but I'm saying plus 7. New England Patriots, bet the house on it. Johnny, you can play the What You Say music if I get it wrong. New England Patriots plus 7 against the Ravens.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Please
if
put
it
on
isn't,
Steelers
no.
helmet.
All right, damn it, fine. I got to do it, too. We got to get 2 on here. Got to get 2 on here. 10-0, baby. 10-0. I wish I had my terrible towel for this, but oh, my God. Whoa, bravo, Sean. Bravo. I love this. This is what we love.
I'm never coming on.
This is what we love. This is what we love here on HTF Bets, man. I'm telling you, I love doing this show so much. Sean, that was great. And you know what? I love it. I love it. You're not drug tested, man. You are perfectly 100% awesome. And hey, we'll see you back next week for if the Patriots do it, because I want to see them beat the Ravens, get back in the graces of winning today.
They're not going to beat them, but that would be amazing.
Hey, man, have faith. Because you got to play that Shrek song. I'm a believer, and I believe that our time is up. But thank you again, Sean, for coming on, and for all
helmet is really heavy. Just
for all the good folks here at HTF Bets, the 3 amigos. For Nick, we miss you. We'll see you back next week. Take care, everybody. Have a safe, wonderful weekend, and for all the veterans, thank you so much for what you do for our country.
Wait. Okay, now from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.